Good evening, this is Nerdist a Human, and welcome back to our AA only historical battles in Rome Total War. And you join me for what could be the largest ambush in military history, the Battle of Lake Trasimene, one of the classic affairs of the Second Punic War. Now, we've already looked at the Battle of the River Trebia over here, where we played as Carthage in one of their great victories. But no, this time we're playing on the Roman side for, well, spoiler alert, yet another Roman massacre, another Roman defeat. But yeah, playing as the Romans means this is going to be extra tricky because we are fighting against the realities of history this time. This is going to be an intriguing one, a grand old affair for sure. This does follow very much in the footsteps of Trebia and comes right before Cannae. So yeah, this isn't a great time for the Roman wars, and we'll find out more as we read the little info script over here on the right. The rise of Rome was far from inevitable. As the Romans moved to secure control over the Italian peninsula, another people, the Carthaginians, were busily establishing their own empire in Spain and North Africa. It was inevitable, however, that these two rising powers in the region would clash violently at some point. There simply wasn't room around the shores of the Western Mediterranean for the two empires to coexist. Now, yes, at this time, Rome was, well, not even all of what we think of Italy today. It was still realistically pushing up against the Gauls in the north. That was gradually getting under their control, but Carthage was much stronger at this stage. Very much all of North Africa, at least in the Western Mediterranean, and very much along the shores of Spain today, at least the Mediterranean side anyway. So they were very much the bigger, stronger power, but Rome obviously was going to be a fair fight. Fortunately, the Carthaginians were blessed with a great general in Hannibal, who can only be described as a military genius. In 218 BC, he led a force from Spain over the Alps and into northern Italy to directly challenge Roman power. He defeated the Romans at Trebia in 218 BC and forced them into a strategic defence. With Hannibal in control of the Po Valley, it was time for him to move south of the Apennine Mountains. Now, this mountain range, of course, does cause quite a few problems for moving an army south towards Rome, and the Romans knew it. They were basically thinking, well, he'll come and attack us in spring or summertime once, you know, all of those passes are a little bit easier to traverse. But no, of course, Hannibal would decide to go straight through the mountain range and straight through the swamps to the west that they thought were completely untraversable. Of course, Hannibal did go that way, and he did pass south, past what we see as Retrying on the game. And eventually, having pushed south, a Roman army would catch up with them at Lake Trasimene. Now, many of the sources do suggest that Hannibal knew that they were following him and decided to go just slow enough so they would catch him at an ideal spot, which is indeed very much what happens. This is also a classic case of the consul deciding to not wait for his fellow consular army to actually arrive. The other consul was on his way, but no Gaius Flaminius would get involved in this battle stupidly, and it would lead to the absolute disaster. Once again, spoiler alert. But okay, so this battle here, Hannibal continued to push hard and caught a Roman army at the Lake Trasimene. Now he would have another chance to prove his worth. This time it was against the full might of a Roman consular army under Gaius Flaminius. He'd already demonstrated tactical finesse in commanding many different types of soldiers against the relatively brute force approach of the Roman commander at Trebia. Now Hannibal intended to teach the Romans another hard lesson. It was not to be the last in generalship that he would hand out. Yes, and Flaminius was actually well known among the Gauls to the north. He had caused them many problems in the past. And guess what Hannibal had picked up in the north? Oh, he'd picked up about 17,000 Gauls who would all be looking for Flaminius later on in the battle. So on that note, we should probably have a little look at our here army. Now, we are quite experienced. We are pre-marrying, of course. Only a tiny bit of cavalry. There wasn't supposed to really be very much cavalry at all, if any here, but we do have a handful of them. Now, quite a few of these units are going to get slaughtered at the start of this battle. We won't have all of this force, so we'll have to see how it goes. Of course, yes, as a AA only, we are going to be playing on easy to see if AI has any hope of actually winning. Not feeling too confident about this one. As for the actual force, Hannibal himself only actually has 15 men. Not a hugely dangerous force, albeit with 8 experience. Yeah, realistically, you'd think we'd have a good chance against all of this, but the positioning does make this battle very difficult indeed. And will the AI manage to reposition itself and prioritize defending its position? I doubt it, but we shall see, shall we? Let's head into the video and see what this is all about.
Rome is not the only power rising along the shores of the Mediterranean. Another people, the Carthaginians, have imperial ambitions. Their empire is growing in Spain, even as the Romans secure the Italian peninsula. For Rome, Caius Flaminius has been sent north to deal with the Carthaginian problem. And it is a problem. Hannibal Barca, the greatest Carthaginian general ever, is on the march.
Units, move!
He swore an oath to his dying father that he would never give the Romans a moment's peace. Hannibal has already kept his oath at Trebia. After that victory, he forced the Romans back onto the defensive. Now, with his army at Lake Trasimene, Hannibal plans to lure another Roman army into a brutal ambush. He has every reason to hope the Romans will cooperate in their own death. The Romans quickly moved to meet the obvious threat from Hannibal's men. Unaware of the danger, Flaminius orders his leading units to attack. Hannibal springs his trap. His waiting troops are ordered to attack the unprepared Romans. The Carthaginian plan is to sweep down on the Roman flank and drive their enemies into the icy waters of Lake Trasimene. Only courage and Roman discipline will save the Roman army. The legionaries must turn and face the oncoming Carthaginians and keep themselves from being surrounded.
In we go to battle then, and time to group up and put us on AI assistance. And yeah, it should be said straight away that we are missing a lot of our troops already, including 4 units of our proper infantry, some really good stuff as well. That is not good. In case you're worried, by the way, or wondering, these numbers are probably different to what you just saw in your intro video, because I did record that separately to me actually loading up this game here just for some audio reasons. So if the numbers are slightly different, that'll be why. It doesn't really make any difference though, because they're all routing and about to be slaughtered. Look at all of those dead bodies. They're all just lined up there. That is excellent. So, okay. This isn't going very well for us, and let's maybe just set the scene here. So obviously this constant army of Caius Flaminius were going along this road by the lake here to try and catch up with the Carthaginian force, who obviously were setting a bit of a trap for them. The icy lake to one side and this forested hill to the other, where obviously the ambush is lying in wait. The other thing was, though, this little skirmish here was some of the infantry blocking up the road, and this was a bit confusing for everyone because, of course, yes, the Roman army, about 30,000, snake along this road here in thick fog. They didn't really know what was happening. They just thought, well, why have we stopped moving? But, of course, there was a battle going on, and at that point, that's when the ambush came out of the hills. Now, okay, funny enough, while all of these are actually routing in historical terms, the only bit of the army that actually did anything in this battle really was this force at the front. Heavy infantry would push through and manage to, well, seeing the disaster behind them, would eventually try and escape. They would get chased down eventually. Basically, no one got out of here alive for the Romans. Yeah, not a good one. Carthage were probably nearer 50,000. I think the Romans maybe thought it was nearer 30 or 35, because I don't know that they actually necessarily knew how many Gallic troops had joined up with Hannibal. up in the north before coming here. It's around 17,000 Gauls, so if you take them away, they probably thus thought their numbers were about equal. This is an ambush with superior numbers in the ambush as well, which is a recipe for utter disaster. So, yeah, we're going to get going here, see what they do. Now, all those troops are pretty much a write-off. You potentially can save some of them. That could be an interesting thing for us if we do decide to, well, obviously we'll follow this up with a general's point of view. And if we can save any of these troops, that would be marvellous. Actually, on this particular occasion, there's a pretty good chance to save them. Don't know how useful they'd be, but every little helps, I suppose. We do seem to actually be able to form a line here, and that ambush has basically not happened. Now, historically, it was cavalry at this particular rear as well, which is going to mop up all of these guys. That is historically accurate. Where are the Triarii going? They're going to intercept cavalry. Good idea, lads. Good idea. Not a bad start in that regard, then. Okay, so yeah, it should have been some Numidian cav at the flanks, and it's some round shield. That, I guess, is good enough. General was charging forward just to pick off those guys. That's fine. We've got some phalanxes here, which should get chopped. I mean, they are Poenai. They are quite good. But if the Romans are sensible enough here and get around the side, yeah, that should be them going before too long. They're eager and fresh, but hopefully they can chop them down. It's actually not a bad start here. Cleared off the cavalry with Triarii in a bit of a general charge. Nice job. A few of the units distracted by them. Yeah, it's actually almost better to let some tiny troops run off. As long as the cavalry don't wipe them up immediately, there might be a good thing there. Okay. Yeah, always trying to get hints for the general's point of view battle while we do this. Yeah, if we can get us back in a line, get the javelins thrown, this might go all right. This cavalry charge, however, not so good. Not so good. Oh, it's not really much of a charge, is it? Okay. But that might be okay. Yeah, a line is holding. Javelins are being thrown here or there. And our infantry is better. If we get ourselves organised, they're going to get distracted. This could work very well. Okay, so some key notes here. Yeah, make sure some of our units do manage to get away, just to distract some of them. Make sure the cav are sniped at that rear there, because that will mean that they can't mop up those fleeing units quickly. And then we need to keep our units together. Get them back and together ASAP. At that point, if Hannibal wants to throw himself in and get himself killed, Astarte, okay. He wants to get himself killed, though. That would be excellent. Unfortunately, that's a very isolated unit. Not really ideal. This isn't too bad, though. Isn't too bad. Some Velite throwing in javelins there. I don't know how useful the Velite are going to be. But we'll have to see how they do. Those Triarii, to those cav, are really isolated now and pretty surrounded, if I'm honest. Taking on Libyans is fine, but the Poenai in the flank, that's not going to end well. Iberians are trash, Leeds will not worry about them, and the bodyguard has taken him out. Now, this is turning into a bit of a chunky affair here, and I don't really like how it's going. The general has thrown himself against him, and that's about to end badly. There are no Gallic mercenaries in this particular force. It's not the most historically accurate set of units, it must be said. But yeah, they were bane for blood at Caius Flaminius. He had set up many of the laws to let Romans do, settling over into Gallic lands, and obviously that eventually leads into fights, and that leads into wars. Sounds much like Americans sort of allowing their people just to move into Texas, and then all of that sort of nonsense happening. Oh, now our people are being discriminated against in that country. We have to go and defend them. It's a very similar story told throughout history. Similar to what Russia's been saying as well, isn't it? With all sorts of areas in Eastern Europe. So there we are, a tale as old as time. But the main thing is that he was hated by the Gauls. He'd fought them before, and they knew his face. Apparently, he used to wear like a Gallic skull on top of his helmet, which is a political statement in one way. I guess it got him the consulship as the populist man. I don't think we're going to win, by the way. But it also means you stick out very clearly on the battlefield, and so the Gauls should be slaughtering him right now. He was ripped to pieces, as you can probably imagine. So much so that Hannibal couldn't even find a single piece to actually give him a proper burial. And we have been roundly defeated here. Not a very good job. Obviously, one of the consequences of this battle was 30,000 Romans wiped out. That is a lot of excellent equipment for the Carthaginians to pick up, which so many good Romans have died here today. It's not far off maybe going the other way, that. Not actually a terrible effort. It's 58 to 48. We could do better, I'll be honest. How are we going to help? Because this is probably one of the tougher ones for the AI to win in, just in regards of it's kind of against us. History's against us in this battle. Some of these you're with history and some you're against. Apparently we're on the Dalmatian coast here. Very nice. Doesn't quite work, but yeah, the game has to put the map somewhere, I suppose. Right, how can we turn this around for them? I think they didn't do a bad job at the start, but let's have another go and see if we can maybe guide them into some slightly better choices. Back inside the battle on easy mode, of course. If we can't win on easy, we're definitely not going to be turning this up. So I'm going to put the Triarii just over here. I liked that whole intercept those guys with the Triarii. We have a couple Principe. We have not a lot, really, do we? Anything else in terms of infantry? No, that is it. I think we're just going to have to form one line, to be honest. And if I'm honest, I don't know which is those guys. Of course, it's not them. Anyway, we'll figure that one out in a minute. But right, we just need the Velite in behind. They can do any javelin throwing they can. That'll be marvelous. And the general and the cav, I think. What do we want to do with them? The cav is, I suspect, going to be very, very important to kind of keep alive. Actually, do we want to send one unit just to keep these guys distracted at the start? Maybe we do. These guys are right next to him, so we'll actually go and do that immediately. And yeah, we'll send them in to go and cover that particular situation as well. You go and just cover this position, and we'll turn it onto AI control very, very shortly. Okay, we're going to try and make sure these guys don't get a free reign at mopping them up. That's kind of the key thing here. And of course, yeah, I did slightly damage this formation, so let's just, yeah, very, very quickly we're into position here, which is nice. Yeah, get yourselves into position. This guy, yeah, this guy isn't necessarily going to intercept him unless we really push at it, so we'll see if he wants to come in. Doesn't look like we're going to make that, no. Okay, well, I tell you what, we will still leave Triarii out on that flank. We're going to bring him back over here. And to be honest, if we've got them wavering, I think at this point we're just going to give control over and say go from here. Because we seem to have, yeah, kind of blocked off their attack of us here. We haven't quite let these guys flee, which is what we kind of want to happen, because it's a good distraction. We've lost our cavalry, which isn't ideal. They've decided to completely rearrange. Okay, they're going to let themselves be flanked. Well done, AI. I tried to help, but apparently you didn't. Maybe I needed to hold them in that position for longer. What are they doing? So, oh well, I think, well, the AI clearly is a genius, so we'll let them do whatever they're doing here. I don't see this going well because they just completely wrecked everything in that particular formation. So we'll just see how that goes. General is doing some good mopping up over there. There's the bodyguard. Are they going to at least get everyone to put him? Let's speed this up because this is just a chaotic mess, and I feel like in an ambush, what you don't want is a chaotic mess because, yeah, we need to regain some control. And yeah, unfortunately, I tried to set them up, and then they just decided to wreck it instantly. So that didn't go very well, did it? It's actually very similar percentage-wise to last time. So maybe I did something right. One unit of Principe is doing its work, but no, it's pretty much all over. Just turn around and lose the battle, would you? Crushing defeat. Very similar result to last time. Right, let's try and hold a position. Try and let them engage it first, and then I'll hand over control. Pretty much then the same plan as last time, at least to start off with. I am, though, going to send, yeah, just a second unit. Wow, their cavalry done the complete opposite to last time. They just spread straight out. That kind of ruins that, but I guess we'll just keep 2 cavalry over there for the time being. Maybe just head into those skirmishes. Maybe don't actually, because there's some spikes over there. I did send, Triii just to run into them, so I guess on this occasion at least that's gone the right way. Just hit them, they're right there, and then get back behind the line, that'll be fine. Okay, so our men are now running through our lines. That is good, I guess, because that gives them something to run down and chase. Their infantry is catching ours out massively. So yeah, just get into them, you sandwich them, that'll be absolutely fine. Right, as they're running away, they might well get a little bit distracted. They're going to send their cavalry into us. That is perfect. And now I think we're just about in enough position to kind of let things happen to some extent. Yeah, looks like I can probably hand over control. Do I want to give over control again? Is this the right time? I'm just going to have to do it. If we're going to break position, at least we've got them in some kind of a place and instantly break because we ruin everything. Okay, well, that's fine. We did have Hastati versus Triii versus cavalry over here. I think I positioned that okay. In terms of thinking about the general cam, I think that'll be okay. I think we don't want to keep the general moving too much. We won't be able to do that much micromanaging, but we don't want to. Here we're being ambushed. We want to just try and keep everyone together, really. So I don't think the general's camera will be super more difficult than it would be normally, but we do need to just bear in mind that we do need to do a little bit of clever manoeuvring occasionally. Right. Anyone back in? Yeah, you get on top of this battle, please. This is a much better start, it should be said. In case you're wondering what happened to the Carthaginians in this battle in real life. Oh, by the way, look at that, 17 to 30 is an excellent start, as long as this general doesn't dive right here to the spikes, which it looks like he's about to do. Astarte getting slammed. Not ideal. This is very winnable from this stage. Yeah, the Carthaginians would lose, what, 2,500 men to Rome's 30,000. It's an absolute massacre. Unbelievable defeat, quite frankly. And this is, Trasimene is the south of Retrying, so that's the western of the two Julii territories. We're not far from Rome at this point, so intriguing. This could be very close actually. We've got Principes failed there. It's 9. Yeah, we had some Troia and Principes over here with the general, but not enough. Are the Japanese coming into the general? No, I don't feel like it's been managed quite well enough now. I feel like it's turning around 35 to 40%. But morale is not on our side. I imagine technically this is not classified as an ambush battle. Probably not. I'm not sure about that. Because you do lose like 3 morale for an ambush battle from the off. And that is just a flat thing. I guess the way they might set it up was, they had some people here and they had some at the front. Because normally in the ambush you can do a good kind of like U-shape around the enemy. It's an interesting one. If you let their cav exist, you're going to lose this. You can get around the infantry and beat them anytime. But it's the cavalry. We need to pin them down with the Triii early on, and it just looks like Trasimene is not going to do it. He's going to instead charge right... Well, he's going to charge past them, luckily. He's going to charge right into a big pile of their troops, which just leads him to being hit by Hannibal in a minute, which is not ideal. You will get a nice cheap kill on this lad, but it could be better, really could, isn't it? Let's get everyone doing something. It's only 4 units and they're all split up. That's a recipe for disaster. The only hope is that he gets the kill here, but it looks unlikely when he's completely outnumbered. I don't think the AI is going to turn this one around. The minute I gave her any control, they threw away their advantage. It does give me confidence, though, for the general cam. I feel like we're in a very good place before I gave over control. Oh dear. Well, the lesson is the setup to this battle was pretty much already defeat, much like Cannae, to be honest, and much like Carre. So, yeah, the setup is pretty much asking for trouble, isn't it? So, down it goes. Look at this perfect sandwich work here by the AI. Why is their AI doing a much better job? Oh, the meat grinder. Whoa. God blimey. We've been bloody beaten. Don't know what that accent was. It kind of went from a bit London Cockney into... Did it go a bit Aussie there? I don't even know what it did, but all I know is defeat once again. It, 56, 52. Is that just the slightest bit better? Almost got to 500. I think, though, that is just going to be a defeat for the AI. A defeat there for the AI, and frankly I'm not sure they'll pull that off even if I kept pushing all day. Do though join me for the General's point of view version of this battle on Thursday, where we look to gain victory on very hard, with obviously the difficulty of only following around the General. Not sure it's going to be the hardest in terms of the general restriction, but I don't think it's the easiest battle either. Hopefully we'll be able to do it. Wish me luck. Thank you though for joining me for this episode of the AI Historical Battles. You can of course support the channel by becoming a member here or on Patreon, by liking and subscribing, and also by getting involved in the comments section. I hope you will join us for next time, but for now I will leave you. I'm Tinerdus, thank you friends, and tally ho. Swing yourself around and do what all good aristocracy do, and murder peasants. This is amazing. The rebel unit is actually taking part in the battle from the boat. These horses are potentially drowning themselves. Please don't drown yourself. One of them drowned themselves. Down to... down to none.